Welcome to SVGTV News for Wednesday, February 24th, 2021. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. St. Vincent and the Grenadines will receive over 50,000 more AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines in the coming weeks. During his weekly appearance on the NBC radio this morning, Prime Minister Dr. Alf Gonsalves said that the island will receive over 11,000 AstraZeneca vaccines from the COVAX facility and 40,000 through a grant from India.
We're rolling out at 5,000, which we got Covishield from India through Dominica. Then we have 11,000 something to get in the first tranche of AstraZeneca from COVAX. And then sometime to the end of this month, beginning next month also, we have 40,000 coming in as a grant from the Indian government of Covishield, AstraZeneca. Some of the same type which are being currently done. So they're ready. It's a question of organizing the transport. And yesterday I spoke to the Indian High Commissioner in Suriname, who is responsible under his jurisdiction. He's ambassador to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, to High Commissioner to us. And through there and the OECS, we're making the arrangements.
Prime Minister Gonsalves said that SVG is supposed to receive more COVID-19 vaccines from other countries, and if all are received, he will share with other Caribbean countries.
They are making individual deals which undermine the efficacy of the COVAX arrangement. But all I can do is to give all the information to the public so that you know things which are happening. And if we get vaccines from all the various sources, I assure you that we will share with our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean who may not have as many as yet. Because that is the way we have to live with this matter. Well, everybody knows that's my own philosophical approach too.
Dr. Gonsalves further appeals to Vincentians to trust the science and to take the COVID-19 vaccines in order to control the spread of the virus.
It's in place to roll out the vaccine. The question now is to deal with a certain degree, a minority view, I think, of persons who are anti-vaxxers or who are skeptical about the vaccine. I am urging everybody to take any of the vaccines which we bring on offer. Vaccines historically have protected people. Some who say that this one was rushed. Well, it's not really rushed because they're doing final touches to it, because this particular vaccine, because it's one of the SARS family, SARS, and the SARS was around 2005.
The skepticism about taking the COVID-19 vaccine is present among persons living with disabilities. So says President of the Voice of the Disabled, Cheryl Adams, who said that she was one of these persons. However, she has had a change of heart, and will be taking the COVID-19 vaccine whenever the health officials approve of it.
Well, the vaccine, we had a lot of negativity where the vaccines are concerned. So at first I was very skeptical. But about few Saturdays ago, I listened to a program on Hope Mission 316. It's an Adventist program. Normally be on, and one of the discussion they had was the vaccine. And then listening to our own local persons there from the Ministry of Health, I definitely will be taking the vaccine when I am ready.
Adams feels that there was not much education on the vaccines prior to their arrival in SVG, with the negativity of the vaccines outweighing the positives. Now that she has done her own research, Adams says she has since spoken to members of the organization about taking the vaccine. However, it is up to them to make that decision.
Straight out in the chat, because we have a members chat, and I asked the members how they feel about taking the vaccine and if they would like me to have a medical health person to come and talk to them about the vaccine. But I am encouraging them, to think about it and make up their mind because, at the end of the day, it's going to be their choice.
The visually impaired Adams said persons with disabilities have been affected by the pandemic like everyone else, but have been coping well despite the challenges.
I had a call from one member who said her son had tested positive, but when she get back her result, she was negative. And I make sure I call every day to do checkup to find out how things have been going with them and stuff like that. Well, one of the things I advise my members to do is if they really don't have to be out, they should try their best to remain at home as much as possible. Because I only go out if I have to go out. Most of us, we look like going to church. The churches are closed.
The Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment has updated the protocols for entry of travelers to SVG, which came into effect yesterday, Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. The updated protocol stipulates that travelers arriving with the evidence of being fully vaccinated at least 4 weeks after the final dose with a COVID-19 vaccine recognized by the Ministry of Health, the National Regulatory Authority shall present with documented evidence of full vaccination issued by a competent authority, must arrive with a negative COVID-19 PCR test done no more than 72 hours before arrival, must be retested on arrival in SVG, must mandatory quarantine for 7 days in a Tourism Authority Ministry of Health approved transition quarantine hotel at their own cost and must be retested on day 5 of quarantine. The Ministry of Health said the aim is for the updated protocol is for safe entry of travelers to SVG in a manner that reduces the risk of importation of subsequent transmission of COVID-19 into SVG. The objectives are to establish the risk of arriving travelers introducing new COVID-19 to SVG, to minimize exposure of the residents of SVG to the new COVID-19 cases, early identification of potential exposure to COVID-19, and early containment of the new COVID-19 cases. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines recorded 8 new COVID-19 cases for patients seen on Monday, February 22nd, 2021. The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, said 4 cases are from rapid antigen tests done on persons seeking care at the Kingstown Flu Clinic, and 4 are from PCRs, all done on February 22nd. A total of 11 positive cases, including 3 rapid antigen tests reported yesterday, Monday 22nd, were therefore recorded for February 22nd. A total of 238 samples were processed, resulting in a positivity rate of 4.6% for Monday, February 22nd. NEMO said at the time of preparing this release on Tuesday evening, 141 PCR samples had been received at the Molecular Laboratory Union and were being processed. 3 persons were cleared, bringing the total number of recoveries to 848. 665 cases remain active, and 6 persons with COVID-19 have died. 1,519 cases of COVID-19 have been reported in St. Vincent and the Grenadines since March 2020. The public is reminded to wear facial coverings, physically distance, sanitize their hands, and get vaccinated to reduce the spread of COVID-19 in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Prime Minister Dr. Alv Gonsalves said that on Monday, instructions were given to the Director General of Financial and Planning and the Minister of Transport and Work to provide financial support for omnibus operators for 2 months, but will only be given to those who comply with the public health regulations. On NBC Radio today, Prime Minister Gonsalves said 18-seaters omnibus operators will receive $500, while those with more than 18 seats will receive $600.
18-seaters and 600 for those above 18. I informed the president of Vintas, Roy Adams, who is still overseas. I told him we can work with the list which we have, which was about 500 from the last time. But some other persons have since gotten minibuses, so that those persons have to be registered and they have to help us in getting those persons' names on. An announcement will be made about the registration and so on. We don't have to do over the work which we did last time with the bulk of with the nearly 500. I don't know if any of them, they'll have to check to see if any of them has stopped operating, but others will have come on.
The Prime Minister said that in order for omnibus operators to receive this financial support, they must be in full compliance with the COVID-19 regulations for omnibus operators.
You're not going to get the subsidy, the support, if you don't follow the protocols. You can't come and ask for the money and still go and jam up the vehicle with 18 passengers. And you also have to, of the 5 days, Monday to Friday, you have to operate your bus at least for those days, because the taxpayer can't pay you money to stay home. Some people would say that I'm generous to say 4 out of 5 days, but you might have to, something happen to your vehicle, you have to do some repairs to it. You have to, because a number of the vehicles are second-hand vehicles and are pretty old, which is a problem. And we have to incomprehensively dealing with public transport.
Dr. Gonsalves said that the government would also continue to offer daily sanitization for omnibuses. The Prime Minister further noted that he was upset with a request made by the operators for a waiver of fines for breaking traffic rules. He said that persons can't ask to be better regulated and at the same time want to break the rules. According to the Prime Minister, the traffic police will continue to do their work to ensure that all omnibus operators comply with the regulations.
Because I was really upset when they put down as their request demands, call them what you will, that we must waive all their tickets for their wrong and bad parking. But you can't be asking for regulation, better regulation, and at the same time asking for a waiver for something where, by and large, the policeman, the traffic policeman, ain't really quote-unquote cussed, as we say on the road. Is when some fellas don't hear. So you can't come and tell me you want to be better regulated and at the same time you want for the $80 fine them. What you get for the ticket? For picking up passengers and letting out passengers at the wrong place. That is not a signal that you want to have it better regulated. There's a signal is that you want anything goes. It can't be like that.
Do not be afraid of the impacts of globalizations, but further embrace them. These were the words of Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves to students of the University of Guyana during his virtual presentation of a lecture as a chief guest on the topic Globalization, Regional and International Perspectives. The Prime Minister told the students that he has lived through decades of globalization, which has had and will continue to affect people in positive and negative ways, but it is up to the people who will decide what they do with the changes.
The impact of globalization, including information technology, and the role it has played in the breaking down of hierarchies in organizations, in families, and in societies. And we must not be afraid of this breakdown of hierarchies. We must accommodate it and accept it as something which is not undesirable. But we must ensure that in these new paradigms, there are clear rules and structures and norms must evolve to accommodate this breakdown in the hierarchies. So you don't have a normless situation. Because if you have that, you'll have complete chaos.
The Prime Minister said regional integration movements and globalization have been led by powerful nations, and that being a political activist for over 50 years, he has done his part in many ways and would like to see more done for small countries, especially when it comes to equity. He noted that with SVG being the smallest nation to secure a seat on the United Nations Security Council, he and the staff have and continue to push the agenda of small countries and have a voice for all.
I believe that our presence on the council and the fact there are 3 countries from Africa, we have formed a nexus called the A3+1, the Africa 3+1. The +1 being St. Vincent and the Grenadines, representing the 6th region of Africa. And we have put these matters so close, so much on the forefront, that today, for instance, Boris Johnson, the United Kingdom, Britain is now the chair for this month of the President of the Security Council. And today, their signature event was climate change in conflict areas, the climate change as a security issue. Of course, there are some persons, there are some bigger countries don't want to touch that because they feel that you're moving away from some of the traditional issues dealing within the Security Council.
Prime Minister Gonsalves used the opportunity to call out former President of the United States, Donald Trump, whose ideas, he said, did not work well for globalization and regional integration. The Prime Minister's advice to all students of the University of Guyana and the University of the West Indies is that they work hard, smart, and in a disciplined manner in these difficult times.
Although we are not better than anybody, nobody is better than us. And the young people who are at the University of Guyana, you have a future if you take advantage of the opportunities which exist. It's going to be tremendous. Same thing in St. Vincent or any other Caribbean country. But you can't be lazy, you know, and don't think that, well, Ralph is an old man. You know, none of you love to fet like me. It's part of our civilization. You have to work harder, you have to work smart, you have to work in a disciplined manner.
High-level policymakers and technical experts from 5 OECS member states, including SVG, will later this week review and validate coastal and marine spatial plans, CMSPS, for their respective countries. The development of coastal and marine spatial plans is a major component of the Caribbean Regional Oceanscape Project Corp, which is currently being implemented by the OECS Commission on behalf of the 5 member states, Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The coastal and marine spatial plans for the 5 Corp participating member states is based on extensive consultation with key stakeholders at the national and community level over the last 2 years. Mitchell Promovich is the social safeguard specialist with Dillon Consulting Limited, the consulting firm developing the coastal and marine spatial plans on behalf of the OECS Commission. He underscored the importance of stakeholders engagement in the coastal and marine spatial planning process.
That we are doing as part of CROP involves the preparation of a series of plans that look at changes that are to take place over a 15-year period. These changes are going to affect the lives of individuals, of businesses, of persons across the five countries. Because they touch their lives, the individuals whose lives are affected need to have a say in how the project is designed and how the project is implemented. So stakeholder consultation is an essential tool for us as professionals to be able to hear, listen, understand the perspectives, the needs, and the concerns of individuals that ultimately can be reflected in how we design our plans and identify priorities to be recommended to go forward.
During the lifespan of the Corp, no negative impacts are expected to arise given that the project is not undertaking any work on the ground. However, post-Corp and during implementation of recommendations emanating from the project's impacts that need mitigating may arise. It is thus expected that member states will establish suitable grievances redress mechanisms to allow persons to raise any concerns and have these concerns addressed. The forum to review and validate the draft coastal and marine spatial plans is slated for Friday, 26 February 2021 at 2 p.m. The validation forum, which will be held virtually, will be preceded by OECS CEO breakfast as a build-up to the OECS Sustainable Development Movement 2021. The conference will include a dedicated virtual exhibition booth displaying up-to-date project information, project documents, audio-visual presentations, and links to the draft coastal and marine spatial plans. 6 Vincentians are among the winners of the Waste Art competition held by the Environmental Protection in the Caribbean Epic and Science Initiative for the Environmental Conservation and Education Science under the theme Amazing Seabirds, Our Birds, Our Islands, Our Future. The contest was held in SVG and Grenada in 4 categories: primary schools, secondary schools, tertiary institutions, and adults 18 years and older. This contest was an opportunity for students and the general public to bring attention to the threat of marine litter to wildlife and to showcase their creativity and knowledge about seabirds, at the same time making their contribution to a cleaner and healthier environment by removing plastics and other waste material from the beaches and seabirds' habitats. First place in the primary schools category went to Kylie Shabba and Zerel Thomas of Grenada. The second went to Alan Lomans of SVG. Anik Patterson and Janessa Durham of SVG took the first and second place positions in the secondary schools category. The tertiary schools category top 2 positions were taken by students from Grenada. The adult category for persons 18 years and older was won by the duo of Renua King D'Souza and Sheldon D'Souza of SVG. The second place was also captured by a Vincentian, the Glenroy Games. The competition was made possible with funding from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the United States Agency for International Development, a Cape Cod Bird Club, and donors to the Environmental Protection in the Caribbean. SVG's former Director of Public Prosecution, Colin Williams, has been appointed a High Court judge in the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. Williams will be assigned to Antigua and Barbuda and will take up his appointment on March 1st. It is the second time that Williams is being appointed a judge after leaving his position here as a DPP in March 2018. He left the post to serve as High Court judge in Belize. Hospitals in Jamaica are overwhelmed with COVID-19 patients. This from the region when